The eyes of the baseball world are upon us. Good evening, everyone. From Clipper Magazine Stadium, along with Eric May, Dave Collins with you. Tonight begins the grand experiment for Major League Baseball through the Atlantic League. The pitching rubber has been moved back a foot. Now, obviously, there have been a number of questions about this. There have been studies done, conducted by Major League Baseball through independent outlets that it won't add to injuries and shouldn't alter the game all that much. What they're looking to see is two things. One, if because the hitters and the pitchers have just that split second more of reaction time, if they can avoid serious injuries, because let's face it, fastballs are faster than they used to be. Exit velos are higher than they used to be. So the number one reason for doing that is player safety. Number two is, will it cut down on strikeouts and increase the number of balls in play in a given period of time? They think that it will do that. They're using the Atlantic League to collect the data. Now, it's a bit of an awkward time to be doing it in the Atlantic League, considering the fact that our games have been extraordinarily high scoring anyway, and having balls in play is not necessarily the issue. Having a ton of strikeouts isn't necessarily the issue. Having a lot of walks has been the issue. How will this affect that? Maybe not very much at all. It's going to be interesting to see. Now, last night they put the mound in, the pitching rubber back a foot at West Virginia. They, for some reason or another, read the memo. They did it a day early, but ultimately it didn't matter because the game got rained out after they started. So the first official pitch from 61 feet 6 inches will be Zach Smith with his first delivery here tonight. Smith, the right-hander from Katy, Texas, and we'll get a quick peek at the lineup he will be facing. As the York Revolution, they are loaded for bear. This is a lineup that is very, very strong from top to bottom, a lineup that built a 6-1 lead last night and had 9 runs, 13 hits in the game, but as has been the case so often at Clipper Magazine Stadium this year, not enough. The Barnstormers came back to snatch it 10-9. And the Barnstormers with the defense tonight, Alejandro De Aza will be the designated hitter, so he is not in the field to begin the evening. The Barnstormers also got a couple of new players in today. An infielder by the name of Jake Hoover out of the Texas Rangers organization, and a pitcher by the name of Tyler Laporte out of Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. James Harris leading off for the York Revolution tonight. Zach Smith's first appearance was last Friday night. He came on in relief of Augie Silk in the ball game where Southern Maryland pulled it out to a 16-0 lead by the end of 2.5 innings. First pitch strike. So far so good from 61 feet 6 inches. We'll take it. It is 0-1 on James Harris. So Zach Smith is a pioneer. He will always be remembered for this. It'll be a trivia question from here on out. Ball is low, and the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
And, you kind of hit the nail on the head as far as my thought process with that move of the mound. My concern is the potential injuries to the pitchers.
That is what the study dispelled. They said it will not add any injuries. We'll see. Again, how do you replicate game action? And
right. Did they do it actually with somebody on the mound and pitching, or are you going strictly on analytics? Because let's face it, these guys, it's muscle memory of 60 feet 6 inches ever since they've been throwing a baseball.
Ball 2 is inside to James Harris. 2 balls and a strike.
If it's going to increase the level of play and make the game more fan-friendly, because let's face it, like you said, it's not about the hits, it's not about the strikeouts, it's the base on balls this year. And so this, in conjunction with the ABS, is going to be very interesting to see how the second half plays out. 3 balls, 1 strike. Tapped foul by Harris. We've gone to a full count, 3-2. Eric's back in the booth, and the first thing that happens is a full count. Of course.
Of course. Eric's favorite thing in all of the baseball world is 3 balls and 2 strikes. We know it. 3-2. He plays full houses in poker. His
What?
email address is probably ericmay32.
I thought you were going to say
something.
Favorite TV show was Full House. I was going, no, we'll put a stop there.
3-2 pitch is ball 4 down low. Harris is on with a leadoff free pass. Zach Smith is just 22 years of age, not far from being 23. He will turn 23 a week from Friday. Product of initially Central Arkansas, and then he pitched at D2 Southern Arkansas, where he was a star, ace of the rotation, if you will, in 2020 and 2021. Jack Kenley, the lefty batting second baseman, digs in, and the first pitch to him is outside. It is ball 1. Doug McFarling calling balls and strikes tonight, and he is actually calling balls and strikes.
Oh.
Ian Pittenger is the first base umpire. Bill Reuter is over at third. The next delivery, Smith is a little bit off the inside corner, 2-0. So we'll see how the night goes.
Issues with the ABS?
I'm not certain. I was just informed that
So obviously
McFarling
then
was calling the balls and strikes.
both managers were notified of
ball 3 is outside, 3-0. Harris leads off first. Smith to the plate. He delivers a strike. 3-1. Runner on with nobody out. Top half of the first inning.
Well, you got to think Doug McFarling is maybe deep down inside is like, all right, good. I get to call the game.
Smith fires. He misses outside, and now we have runners at first and second with nobody out.
Yeah, I'm back.
Melky Mesa, the left fielder, will come to the plate. Mesa, we detailed the numbers last night. He's homered in 4 straight games here at Clipper Magazine Stadium, and he is something the equivalent of, I think now, 12 for 18 with 11 runs batted in the last 4 games here. In his last 10 road games, he's batting .561 with 7 home runs and 17 runs batted in. Apparently, Melky loves living out of a suitcase.
Yeah. Likes those bus rides.
First and second, nobody out. First pitch strike in from Smith. It's 0-1. The toilet chemical smell apparently agrees with him. It's many a conversation, by the way. 0-1. Runners at first and second with nobody out. Zach Smith pours it to the plate, and that is smashed foul past third, 0-2.
Is that one of the many discussions on these long 9-hour bus rides?
Usually in the first 10 minutes. And then it can
goodness.
dissipate. Some people don't even notice it, and other people get overwhelmed by it. It's one of those amazing things with what is one person's nervous system will detect. And
Well, hopefully Zach Smith is not feeling the nerves. You know, because this is not the start anybody wanted to see as far as 2 base on balls to open up the ball game. And again, we've seen the recurring trend of Lancaster giving up first inning runs. So it'd be nice to see Smith battle back and keep York scoreless here in this first inning.
on this current homestand, the Barnstormers have given up 13 first inning runs, which includes 9 on Friday night. And then Niall Ball pitched scoreless baseball through 7 here on Saturday. Ball 1 is inside. It is 1-2. What's tough to read from here, and I don't think we would ever actually know, is how many of Smith's pitches so far would have been strikes at 60 feet 6 inches that are balls at 61.6. 1-2, and that's hit well but foul.
You know, and I was thinking about this last night because I knew tonight would be the first game with the new mound. You know, how much work goes into getting the mound ready so it is regulation, height, make sure that the distance is correct.
The slope is correct.
Okay.
That was 90% of the work today was on the grading of the mound to make sure that the slope was correct, because if you moved just the rubber back a foot and used the mound the way it was, everybody's going to be striding too high, and the pitches are going to end up on the backstop.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking, okay, is somebody from Major League Baseball going to be here to assess it, make sure everything is correct?
Foul ball, still 2 balls and 2 strikes. I guess they will do that from afar. The game between Gastonia and West Virginia last night, from what I understand, was 7-4 in the 4th inning when play was halted due to the weather. Tough to assess anything from that. Here's a 2-2. Mesa goes down on a breaking pitch.
And a nice one, too. I mean, that thing just dropped right out of the strike zone, and look at this. That is a dandy. Plus, on the outside part of the plate, Mesa just hoping to get at least a piece of it to stay alive, but Smith with a big strikeout and out number 1.
That brings on the first baseman, Nelly Rodriguez. They made him the K-man for tonight. Fans hoping for some barbecue, a nice treat. Some pulled pork barbecue.
And the pounding in our headset.
Zach Smith brings it home. He is outside for ball 1-0. Now, one of the things when they first pitched, pardon the pun, the 61-foot 6-inch distance from the rubber to the front of home plate, was they thought, hey, breaking balls have a chance to break even more. And you may have seen that with the strikeout of Mesa. Runners go. Here's a throw to third, and Shumpert unable to handle the bounce and put the tag on. Coming across is Harris. It'll be a stolen base and then an error on the play. York has a run on the board. We'll get a look at De La Rosa's throw. Now, last night he laid one right into Shumpert's glove in the 10th inning with Darian Sanford running, and that was not handled. This one was a low throw, so the error will go to De La Rosa.
But I think a throw that Shumpert could have made, or a catch he could have made. Obviously, you want to try and go one fell swoop with the catch and then the tag. First things first, you got to make sure you have the ball.
Ball 2 to Nelly Rodriguez, 2-1. Kenley at second base. So Harris with his 15th steal of the season, and for Kenley, his 3rd. 2 balls, 1 strike. It is low, 3-1. And when you add the 12 inches that the rubber has moved back to the 7.5 inches where the plane exists back from the front of home plate for balls and strikes, once we get there, it's better than 1.5 feet that you have to add on from where you were before. 3-2. Eric just loves this.
Here we go.
Eric just loves this.
I got to keep tally of this, although it's not something I want to see a high number on.
His phone number, by the way, is 332-3232.
Those are for law firms.
Payoff pitch, wrapped, and that is foul outside third base. Continuing count of 3 balls and 2 strikes. You got to look at the York bullpen, which has already had a couple of hot ground balls head their way tonight. They will be used, though Austin Nicely, the York starter, has averaged about 5 2/3 innings or so per start. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Smith to Rodriguez. Payoff is on the way, and it is ball 4 outside. There's the 3rd walk given up. Kenley stays at second. Rodriguez aboard at first. Now Carlos Castro comes to the plate. 372 hitter with 13 homers and 52 runs batted in. And Ross Peoples is going to pay a mound visit.
I mean, this is a lot of pitches.
Yeah, they're going to be discussing too. How do you feel? Is it bizarre? I mean, there's a psychological factor going on here too.
Absolutely.
As well as the physical factor. The pitchers I'm most interested to see, the guys with splitters. And I phrase this, what has been a bad splitter could now be a good splitter.
Yeah.
And what has been a good splitter is now ball one.
Yep. It's definitely going to take some adjustments, and I think your feeling of I'm for it, but not in the middle of the season. Give the guys an off season to adjust to it, so when you come into spring training, you already know and have practiced at throwing this distance.
Yeah, I think it takes probably 2 or 3 bullpens to acclimate, would be my feeling. I'm sure that tomorrow night, Augie Silk starts for the Barnstormers, and he's been in the rotation, and I'm sure his last bullpen was at the 61-foot distance. A ball is outside on Castro. It is 1-0.
I mean, he's thrown already, Smith, a lot of pitches here in this first inning. Even to Mesa. Mesa fouled off a number of pitches before striking out. So this is quite the long first inning.
1-0 to Castro. Gets the knees, a called strike. It's now 1-1. The pitches that before would have been maybe an inch high are now right at the knees. Ultimately, it could turn bad pitches into good pitches into balls. Just that 1 foot difference, but we don't know. That's what everybody's trying to assess. High fly ball here. Out to shallow center field. Coming on is Clark. He'll put that away. Castro's retired. First ball in play on 27 pitches so far. And with 2 outs, here is J.C. Encarnacion.
And it looked like Castro chased one up around the shoulders. Might have swung at ball 2, but luckily for Smith, skies it and an easy out for Clark. So a chance really to minimize the damage if he can get Encarnacion here and only give up 1 run despite 3 free passes.
2 outs, 2 on. Good looking fastball for a strike. It is 0-1.
And always good to start with a strike.
The ball does slow down between the time it leaves the hand, which is generally where the radar guns and TrackMan assess the velocity, and the time it gets to home plate, simply because of the physics of air resistance. Gets away from De La Rosa, shot at third base, but it will be late. Kenley and Rodriguez move up on what I have to believe will be a pass ball. Now 2 extra runners in scoring position. You have to believe Smith and De La Rosa got their signals crossed there.
Tough first inning for Anderson behind the plate.
Breaking ball in the zone, 1-2. Smith had a stretch in his debut, 4 outs in a row in what was a tough 2 1/3 innings for him. Put him away. Swung out and missed. There's the second strikeout of the inning. 1 run scores, no hits, an error, and there were 2 runners left in scoring position. York with a run on the board. The Barnstormers get their turn next. The starting lineup put out there by manager Ross Peoples this evening, and with the addition of Jake Hoover today, the Barnstormers will have 3 players available off the bench. Trayvon Robinson sits tonight and will be available for pinch hit duties later on, and I imagine that we'll see him. Then you've got Hoover and Anthony Peroni, who had a huge pinch hit for the Barnstormers in the 9th inning last night. He singled. Dominic DeSabatino, usually his battery mate, pinch ran for him, and he scored the tying run as DeSabatino slid underneath a Lennon Rodriguez tag on Melky Mesa's throw home, which it was a huge gamble by Ross, but I guess we're taking with 2 outs, and the throw jumped up on, I think, his 3rd skip to the plate. It hopped up, and DeSabatino got in underneath.
Not only that, I was watching that end of the game, but that was a beautiful slide. A hook slide to go away from the catcher, something you don't see much anymore. And here the pitcher's doing it. That was textbook slide into home plate.
On the hill is the left-hander Austin Nicely, who is from the Grottos in Virginia, which is right along Interstate 81.
Familiar with it?
Down, drive by it on 81. It's somewhere in the general Harrisonburg area.
Okay.
Facing Caleb Gindel, leading off tonight for the Barnstormers. 293 hitter with 20 homers. We talked about how the pitchers have to adjust. The hitters do too. We think there could be some early swings seen. Ball 1 is outside to Gindel. 3 walks and an error for the run in the 1st inning. Gindel now batting at 2-0. Allemond and Deaza will follow. They're professional athletes. I have no question in my mind they will make the adjustment at some point. Foul ball back. Will it happen tonight? How much did that added foot play a role in the 3 walks in the top of the inning? We'll probably never know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an unmitigated disaster, which I think some people had feared. Here's a 2-1. Gindel fouls that off.
You know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the dugout just to hear if some of the other pitchers are talking to Zach Smith and just kind of picking his brain, saying, hey, what do you feel? What are you seeing out there?
Nicely to Gindel, 2-2 pitch. It's inside. It's incredible. It's incredible. May shows up, every count's 3-2. Payoff, and Gindel fouls another. Still 3 balls and 2 strikes.
So in other words, I should get comfortable in this seat because might as well do this because it could be a while. Yay.
The payoff to Gindel. Swing, and that ball is lined right to first. Not the first time he's done that on this homestand.
Jeez, Rodriguez didn't even have to move.
I think it's 3 times in the last week for Caleb. He's lined right to the first baseman. Here's Allemond, who had the hot hand last night. 2 home runs, a double, 5 runs batted in. Fouled at the plate. It's 0-1.
And it's good to have him back in the lineup. You know, obviously missing some time with an injury. But boy, what an impact this guy has in the lineup for Lancaster.
A ball is outside. The count works to 1-1. Deaza, the designated hitter tonight, waits on deck. To Blake, swing and smashed foul. We may see a lot of that in this game. That, perhaps more than anything else on the offensive side. Guys see pitches coming, but it's just that added split second may turn on pitchers and drive them foul.
All right. So
the hitters have to make an adjustment too.
Are we going to see more of those or more full counts? There you go.
1-2 pitch, bouncer foul.
Well, you know, and the game last night, Lancaster got behind, rallied, fell behind, came back, rallied, ended up winning it.
Allemond with a ball hit in the air, but he got under it. The right fielder Harris in place for the out. That's 2. And Alejandro Deaza will step in.
All things aside, not counting ABS, not counting the runner at second base and extra innings and the new mound, has this been the most bizarre season of baseball you have seen here in 16 years?
Oh, absolutely. Or in 40 however many years of the seasons I've actually worked in this business.
I was just thinking here in Lancaster.
I've seen some of the craziest things happen this year. One unassisted double play is up there on my list.
I would think so. I mean, that's why you never leave a ball game early, because you never know what you're going to see.
Slapped into left field. De Aza, no problem. He's got the base hit. And the Barnstormers have a 2-out runner for Kelly Dugan. Nicely hit, only walked 24 batters in 64 and a third innings. And has allowed 67 hits. The Barnstormers have had 16 hits off of him in 11 innings over 2 starts. So Lancaster's out there swinging pretty aggressively.
Well, and De Aza here in Lancaster is just unbelievable. I mean, hitting at 371 coming into the game tonight. He just loves hitting in this ballpark.
First pitch strike, it's 0-1. Ross Peoples keeps 4 left-handed batters at the top of the order against the left-hander Austin Nicely. That's something you won't see often.
No.
0-1. Dugan's been swinging a red-hot bat. He takes the pitch low. And an RBI double last night. Ultimately, he was 1 for 5. He drew the second walk in the 10th inning to load the bases. Two and one now. And then with De La Rosa batting, ball 2 to Anderson. Got away from Lennon Rodriguez, and Gindel scampered home with the winning run.
So do they expand the rosters in the second half? Or is it the
We're
same?
27 all year this year. Previously, it was 27 for the first month, and then 25 afterwards.
Because I see, obviously, Blake Galen is still on the roster, as is Wanger.
But they're on the
inactive.
Yeah, they're on the inactive.
So when they
list
come
right
back, then there's going to be some movements.
Moves have to be made. Right now, we have 26 active players.
Okay. With
the additions today of Laporte and Hoover. Dugan up there, 2-2. He could not hold. Kelly is down on strikes. 1 hit and 1 left. We'll go to the second inning. York leads it 1-0. The sun is out in full force tonight, and it's also a Wiener Wednesday, which means 2 things. Hot dogs are $1, and you can bring Fido, or whatever the name of your favorite 4-legged friend is.
And we're going to get toasted here in the press box.
Should be dollar suntan lotion night. That would work for us up here. I believe that I can now officially confess to being the second gunman on the grassy knoll.
You know what? You could bring that up to the marketing department and give out sample sunscreens to people. That would be brilliant.
We have done it here. We used to have a sponsor that was a dermatology practice here in town. I would get a free dermatological exam every year out of the deal.
Some of your perks.
And fortunately, nothing was ever suspicious.
That's good.
And out of it, I learned what an SK was. These things, as you get older, you have all over your face, and I have them on my neck and shoulders. Seborrheic keratosis, I believe, is the official term for it.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Pitch to Josue Herrera. Taken for a strike. It is 0-1. And really, when it comes to the alteration of the mound, we're not seeing any difference.
No, I mean,
nothing's detectable so far.
And I think a lot of it is just going to get acclimation.
Slap to short. Rendon will take it and throw. Herrera's retired. Brings on the shortstop, Osmi Gregorio.
You notice Rendon had to, that split second, had to hold and think, okay, I can't make a throw too high because it's going to go right into the sun for Dugan. So he had to make sure he thought about, all right, I got to make sure I keep this throw.
Yeah, throws from the second baseman are actually worse.
Yeah, I could see that. Boy, there's not a more helpless feeling when you go to try and catch a ball and it gets lost in the sun. Oh.
Smith's first pitch is low. It's ball 1-0 on Gregorio. Andrew Dundon, the designated hitter, waits on deck. At the knees. Good pitch to Gregorio. Smith working at 1 ball, 1 strike. Again, a lot of new faces in the clubhouse. Galen and Wenger will be back. Now that Ben Wanger is some kind of TikTok star or whatever, that whole situation, he almost created an international incident.
Oh, really?
Swing and a miss, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He
had some of his teammates tested out those cardboard beds to see how many of them could stand on one of those beds over. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. 1-2. If that's the worst thing they ever do in their lives, good heavens, it sounds like something a group of college-age kids would do, and Ben's barely clear of that age.
They stood on him or they stacked him?
I think they stood on them.
Oh, boy. I have a feeling it didn't end well.
Here comes the 1-2. That is lined toward the gap in left center field, down and rolling all the way at least to the track. Picked up out there by Torrance, cruising in the second with a 1-out double is Gregorio. He stands in scoring position with 1 out for Andrew Dundon.
You know, let's not overlook the fact that Torrance got this ball before it got to the fence. If it hits the fence and ricochets, Gregorio's on third base. So he was able to cut it off just in time and made a good relay throw in to keep him at second.
There was a similar play last night in the first inning, I believe it was. Blake Alleman hit a double to left center field. Darian Sanford made a diving attempt at it and missed. Mesa raced over again, kept the ball from getting all the way to the fence, kept Alleman to a double, and because of that, the Barnstormers did not score.
Yeah.
Ball was low because De Aza hit about a 400-foot fly ball out to left center as the next batter. 1 ball and nothing here. Smith to the plate and does not tickle the outside corner. 2 balls, no strikes. James Harris, the right fielder, is due next. York scored on a throwing error in the first inning, but because Smith was charged with a wild pitch, the run is earned. Fastball is there, make it 2-1.
No, obviously Smith is quite comfortable out in the mound. He is a fast worker.
Ground ball third. Scooped up by Shumpert to his left. He'll fire across. Gregorio can go nowhere. 2 outs. Harris to step to the plate.
Yeah, took a couple steps, looked the runner back. Good accurate throw. Get that all-important second out. Now a chance for Smith to leave him stranded at second.
Harris, the man who walked and ultimately scored the run back in the first inning. He stole his 15th base of the year and came in on De La Rosa's throwing error. Though that throw was not that bad, it did bounce and got through Shumpert. So the convention is always thrower's error when the ball bounces. 1-0.
Smith keeps trying to get that outside corner and just hasn't had to go his way yet. Doesn't appear he's missing by much.
2-0. From the native and resident of Katy, Texas in the Houston suburbs. Went northward to Arkansas for his college career. Ball 3. Kenley, the second baseman, is the on-deck hitter. I have not met Jake Hoover or Tyler Laporte as of yet. Couldn't tell you. I wouldn't know him if I ran into him in the stands.
So I take it they just got here today?
They got in today.
Wow.
3-0 pitch. Ball 4 is outside. In fact, Laporte didn't get into town till about 5 o'clock. Smith has walked his fourth. Jack Kenley will step in with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Barnstormers finished the first half 30-30. Tonight also begins the second half of the season. Well, Barnstormers will want to get the early jump they did in the first half. The Barnstormers were in first place on and off for about the first 3.5 weeks of the season before Southern Maryland and then eventually Long Island took over.
Yeah, now that's the beauty of this league is that despite what happens in the first half, you wipe the slate clean. It's a whole new season now and a chance to make your mark.
Ball 2 is outside, 2-0. Unless you're one of those teams that, I don't know, finishes with the best overall record and doesn't go to the playoffs, like that's never happened before. 2017 still burns deep in our bellies.
I would think so.
The 2-0 pitch. Strike taken, 2-1.
I didn't mean to poke the bear.
Yeah. It's still a raw wound.
Well,
and it wasn't Bridgeport, too.
And that's understandable. I mean,
2 balls and 1 strike. I understand the rationale for the split season, but the other side is why should you be penalized for being good all year as opposed to being great in one half and lousy in the other?
Yeah.
Three-1 on Kenley, who's already drawn a walk. Mesa looms on deck. Smith again in a fix. Down by a run. Kenley with a ground ball second base should end the inning. Alamond to Dugan. 3 ground balls for the outs here in the second. 1 hit and 2 are left. 1-0 remains the score. Barnstormers in York hooking up for the 15th time this season. Lancaster leading the season series 8-6. But if you think the Barnstormers have played York a crazy number of times already, just wait till the second half. 19 of the last 49 games are against the Long Island Ducks. Ross and Wally will have a large number of home plate meetings. They'll be sending Bianchi and Ford out there. They'll be tired of each other. Bianchi and Ford will be the emissaries at times. Ladarius Clark leads off the second for the Barnstormers.
That's a lot of games against one opponent.
19 out of 49. It all starts
split evenly as far as, well, it's not going to be
10
even.
games there, 9 here.
Okay.
Nicely to Clark. Ball 1 is inside. It is 1-0. Make it 2 balls and no strikes.
So Long Island, 12 games over 500 in the first half of the season.
Well, they won 12 in a row. That's what did it.
Days.
Kept going until pretty much just before they wrapped it up.
And actually had the better record than Lexington. I mean, Lexington out of the gate was just unbelievable. What were they, 24-4 at one point? Something like that?
They were 19-2 at home. That's what I remember. Clark bats at 2 balls and 2 strikes with Austin Nicely on the hill. Fouled at the plate. Will stick it out at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jordan Pacheco, I saw, retired. Cole Sturgeon was sold to Milwaukee. That team is not as potent as it had been. Foul or swing and a miss. That got away from Castro. And Clark reaches on the dropped 3rd strike. And again, we'll see wild pitch or pass ball. I have to think that one's a pass ball. I thought initially he fouled it back, but he missed it entirely. That's got to be a pass ball.
Yeah.
The Barnstormers with their fastest guy on at first base. I think he would win a foot race against Devon Torrance. Maybe not. Clark is 13 for 13 in stolen bases. We'll see what Nicely does to contain him. Anderson De La Rosa, meanwhile, coming to the plate.
That would be interesting to see. I mean, it's one thing to go straight, running 90 meters or 60 meters, whatever. But as far as running the bases, it's a little bit different.
My guess is that Clark would win from 1st to 2nd. Torrance would win from 1st to 3rd. But that's just a guess. They're both, suffice it to say, really fast guys.
Oh, yeah.
Strike taken by De La Rosa. It's 0-1. He checks down to his skipper, Ross Peoples, to see what the plans are with Ladarius Clark. 4 times in a row a while ago that Clark had reached first base with nobody on ahead of him. He took off on the first pitch and stole successfully. He goes here. And De La Rosa fouls it off. He had a great jump. He guessed on Nicely. He went on the first move, and Nicely was going to the plate. Clark would have had second base stolen with ease. A sinkhole would have had to have opened up and swallowed him to prevent him from getting to second.
I mean, he has got an explosive first step. Let's keep an eye on him.
0-2, the count to De La Rosa. Nicely has struck out the last 2 batters that he has encountered, but Clark reaches as strike 3 was missed. A long look toward first. Clark takes off again. Here is the throw down, and he is safe at second. Looked like he stumbled a bit. It was a great throw by Castro.
Not as good as jump as the first time, but again, he can make up for that with his speed. Wow.
Also some nice balance to retain contact with the bag. Clark in with the steal. The count on De La Rosa is 1-2. The Barnstormers have chances to tie this game at 1 each. De La Rosa pops up a foul out of play.
And how novel, too. He actually slid in feet first. Nobody does that anymore.
Clark is 14 for 14.
Well, I'd like to see De La Rosa hit one off the base of the fence like he did last night.
1-2 pitch. Bounces and gets away from Castro. That will be a wild pitch. An interesting sequence to get Ladarius Clark to third. Pass ball on strike 3, stolen base and wild pitch.
Going to fill up his box here.
He needs to score on a balk now.
Sure, why not?
We'll refer to that as the Ladarius Clark home run, and it might never be repeated. We saw a Darian Sanford home run last night from somebody other than Darian Sanford. Not last night, it was a couple of days ago. 3-2 on De La Rosa.
There we go.
It was Cesar Trejo from Southern Maryland on Friday had a Darian Sanford home run. Got on base, stole second, stole third, scored on a throwing arrow.
Oh, jeez.
Defense back. De La Rosa awaits the 3-2, and it's bounced to the first base side of the mound. There will be no play at the plate. Scoring is Clark. De La Rosa gets it home with an infield out. It's one apiece. That will bring on Devon Torrance.
Well, and you know what? The fact that it was just that little nubber, but the fact that Nicely's a left-hander, it takes him to the third base side. Clark on contact took off. He knew he was going to score easily.
You would rather that had been a suicide squeeze because it would have looked prettier. It would have been more artistic. And the same result, but you would have a great strategy as opposed to a fortuitous break, I suppose. Here's Devon Torrance batting from the right side. Ground ball toward the middle. It hits the mound, making it an easier play for Kenley. He throws out Devon, 2 away. The batter will be third baseman Nick Shumpert.
Yeah, you got to take that split second because you never know which way the ball is going to go. But tell you what, Kenley he is just a solid ball player, offensively, defensively.
He made an error on what seemed like a routine ground ball in the third inning last night against Blake Alleman. But outside of that, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Shumpert batting with 2 outs and the base is empty. The fastball is up. 1 ball and no strikes. I will have to say, the move of the mound for foot, I don't think it has created much in the way of havoc here tonight. Ground ball, shortstop. That is handled by Gregorio. He fires on. Nicely gets ground outs here in the second inning. It's 1 run on no hits, no errors. Nobody's left on base. Through 2, we're tied at 1. Along with Eric May, Dave Collins back with you from Clipper Magazine Stadium. This is the middle game of a 3-game series against the arch rival York Revolution. Southern Maryland is back for the weekend. They just left. Southern Maryland goes out for lunch in the middle of this homestand.
Well, so will the Long Island Ducks then, I guess, in the upcoming weeks.
The Barnstormers still have 15 left with Southern Maryland. It fills out the bulk of the second half, playing mostly the Northern Division clubs.
The silver lining is it's not long trips.
Well, except for the fact that the Barnstormers do have 2 journeys between Southern Maryland and Long Island overnight,
that's right.
which is 6.5 to 7 hours. Melky Mesa leads off the third. He struck out against Zach Smith back in the first inning. 1 of 2 for Zach so far tonight.
Do they still have to go out to Lexington?
No.
Lexington comes here.
Lexington and Gastonia trips are done for the year.
There you go.
Unless playoffs.
Playoffs?
Playoffs? Ball 1-0. Smith kicks, fires. The pitch right there. And the count is even at 1-1.
Yeah, somehow, some way, Zach Smith's got to find a way to keep this guy off the bases.
And quiet.
Yes.
Strike 2 taken.
Yeah, when I meant off the bases, I meant either standing on or circling.
.55 pitches thrown by Zach so far tonight. He was a starter in college, and with DeSabatino down and now Boydston down, Zach fitting in rather nicely. Into the dirt, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Okay, a 56-foot curveball.
There you go.
I get to use the term. It's my personal neologism.
And I think it'd be pretty safe to say it's not going to be the last time you say it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. The kick, the pitch fouled back toward us. Still 2-2 on Melky Mesa against the Barnstormers for the season. 20 for 43 with 4 home runs and 19 runs batted in. That's just gross, disgusting, ugly, awful. 3-2 now from Smith.
There we go.
He's walked 4 along with the 2 strikeouts. The only hit was Gregorio's double to the left center field alley last inning. The Barnstormers only have a single by De Aza. Payoff pitch. The breaking ball is popped up. First base side. Fading back is Dugan. Kelly with the catch. And Mesa is 0 for 2.
That's a good sign. Plus, you got your leadoff batter out.
Victory for Zach Smith, keeping Mesa off the bases twice in a row. Nelly Rodriguez will be the hitter. He walked back in the first inning.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think so far so good as far as this mound experiment is concerned.
Inside, ball 1. Certainly there were concerns, and anybody not understanding that there were concerns, just the human psychology. You take a bunch of guys out of their comfort zone, as you say, since they were probably 12, 13 years old. They've been pitching at a 60-foot, 6-inch distance. And you take everybody all at once out of that comfort zone. It may not seem far out of the comfort zone, but it's out of the comfort zone. And it's going to cause a stir. 3-0 on Nelly Rodriguez here. Carlos Castro waits on deck. And it was to be expected. But
Right.
I think by the weekend, a lot of the stuff that I heard had died down. There's a ball belted deep to right field.
Wow.
Kendall just turned around and Rodriguez just watched it. Everything seemed frozen in some sort of suspended animation there for a moment. But a home run, the 6th of the year for Rodriguez, and a 2-1 York lead. Well, he timed that up really well.
Not only did he get the green light, but my goodness, that was just like a shooting star going out into right field.
He had the green light on the drag strip.
Yeah, and then some. Wow.
Put a jolt into that. Here is Carlos Castro, the catcher. York back into the lead, 2-1. It's about as well as you can hit a ball to the opposite field, I would think.
Yeah.
Darn close to it. To Castro, fouled off. Castro he's been a little bit tamer this series. than he had been against the Barnstormers in the past. 1 for 6 with an RBI.
You know, I saw he was the Atlantic League Player of the Month for the month of June. So, okay, if this were the last game of the season and you had to vote for an MVP, is it Castro?
He would be second.
Who are you thinking is number 1?
Roberto Baldequin,
Okay.
the shortstop from Lexington.
Okay.
Because of his defense, on top of everything. His defense is splendid. On top of what he has done at the plate for the Legends. I think Castro is second. Mercedes would have been third. I think Gindel's probably third. 0-2. That is driven to left field. And in for a base hit, played by Torrance. Castro is on. As York starts to get a little bit of timing on Zach Smith. JC Encarnacion, a strikeout victim back in the first, will come to the plate.
Yeah, okay. Baldequin second in the league in batting, 4th in the league in on-base percentage, 7th in slugging percentage, 5th in OPS. Good gravy.
But you have to factor in he's the shortstop, and his defense is stellar.
Yes, and we got a chance to, obviously you've seen it more than I have, but I got a chance to see him, and yeah, he's solid.
A fascinating story. He's a wealthy guy for never having played in the major leagues. But he signed quite the deal with the Angels, from what I understand, when he defected from Cuba. And some of that, the balloon payments that are just coming in now.
What, he's got a Bobby Bonilla deal or something?
Not to that extent.
Oh, okay.
1-1.
I get text messages every year from friends. Hey, it's Bobby Bonilla Day. Yeah, all right. Thanks for reminding me. How the Mets agreed to something like that?
Goes through what, 2035?
Something like that.
2-1.
That's
Bobby, don't be afraid to share your wealth with your former buddy here.
gosh.
I worked with him 36 years ago. Worked with Bonilla and Bonds at the same time.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss. 2-2. Bonilla, Bonds, Chico leaned, Jeff King, John Smiley.
Wow. Yes.
2 years with the Pirates organization. And Felix Fermin. I'm probably leaving a couple out.
Boy, and I mean that was as good of a Pirates team.
3-2, just low. The option to start Castro, I don't know if they do.
Okay, you mentioned Bonds, you mentioned Bonilla. I'm trying to think who the other outfielder was.
Van Slyke probably.
Yes, in center field.
Andy Van Slyke.
Yeah, Bonds was in left, Bonilla in right.
Now, when I saw the Pirates, Bonilla played first.
Okay.
And he played first base when I worked with him. But we had an interesting outfield. As Ross Peoples makes his second mound visit tonight. First and second, 1 out, 2-1 the score here. The outfield, the second half of the 1985 season, down in the time it was known as Prince William. It's the franchise that's now with the Nationals in Fredericksburg. Our outfield consisted of Barry Bonds. We had a guy by the name of Don Carter, who had been in AAA with the Indians at one point in his career. Basically, Darian Sanford, but very similar build to Darian, similar type player. And our third outfielder was, if you remember, Jeffrey Hammonds, at one point the first player taken in the draft, played in the big leagues with the Orioles. We had his older brother, Reggie.
Okay.
Reggie ended up being a stockbroker. I lost track of Donnie Carter, but the last time that I worked with him, he sang the national anthem and played all 9 positions in the game as a gimmick as he was retiring at the end of that season. And we had our infield we had Bonilla and Leaned on the right side. And I can't remember the left side of the infield in '85, but and the manager was Ed Ott. Josue Herrera with a line drive into right field for a base hit. They'll only move up one. Holding at third is Castro. The bases are loaded here. And Osmi Gregorio, the shortstop, will come to the plate. This has been an unpleasant inning for Zach Smith. 3 pretty loud base hits around a walk. He did retire Mesa to start the inning.
Yeah, and that started off on a good note.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Gregorio doubled up the chute in left center back in the second inning. He will come to the plate. 1 out, and they are full.
You see, now you got me thinking about this. Was Jay Bell the shortstop?
No.
No?
Jay Bell, if I remember correctly, came over from the Indians for Fermin. I think they were traded for each other. I had Felix in '86. Breaking ball is outside. Ball 1. You want to talk about one of the classiest acts I've ever dealt with in this business. Felix Fermin was just a marvelous guy.
Well, Zach Smith in dire need of a double play ball right here.
Past the diving Shumpert into left field. This will score Castro, and Encarnacion will hold at third. RBI single for Osmi Gregorio. He is now 2 for 2. It's 3-1 York, and Andrew Dundon will bat with the bases loaded. And it may be that the hitters are just getting the timing down with that extra foot. We just don't know. I mean, it seems like such a marginal difference.
Well, and that's that second time around.
A split second. Or it just means that perhaps that Zach Smith has lost focus here for a moment. They seem to be getting a read on him. Whether the distance has anything to do with it, we don't know.
And where is he pitch count-wise? In the 70s?
Fastball is up. Yeah, he's crossed 70. I think that was 76 right there.
And you wonder if he might be starting to tire a little bit, because these have been some long innings.
He made 13 starts for Southern Arkansas this year, so he should be pretty fully stretched out. Ball 2 is inside to Dundon. 2 balls and nothing. Austin Nicely has fared much better. Tommy Shirley warming up in the bullpen for Lancaster.
Well, and the question, again, is always health as far as players are concerned. So aside from Mercedes being out, what's the condition of the rest of the roster? How are they looking?
I haven't heard an update on Cody Boydston, but he came out with a back injury last night. How severe it is, I do not know. I heard rumblings from players after the game, but that's not from Ross or Anya. 3 balls, 1 strike on Dundon. York with a chance to break it open, and ball 4 is served in low. 6 walks given up by Zach Smith. The bases remain loaded, and the lineup turns over to James Harris. Harris has drawn a couple of walks already. Smith has given up 5 hits. He's walked 6. The hunt for pitching is ongoing in the Atlantic League this season.
Well, I'm sure it won't stop either once the season is over.
Breaking ball twists in for a called strike. It's 0-1. It has been a tough year on the pitching front. High Point had done an entire breakdown of as there's a line drive headed for the gap, left center field, cut off by Torrance, but 2 runs are going to score here. Dundon will make it to third, and into second with the 2-run double is James Harris, making it now a 6-1 game. That is the 7th man in a row to reach base against Smith here in the 3rd inning. But the lowest team ERA in 2021 is Long Island at 4.69. That would have put them somewhere around 6th or 7th in 2019.
Jeez.
Jack Kenley, the batter. Runners are at second and third, still with just one out in a 6-1 game. Smith's pitch is outside. We mentioned Boydston coming out. Dominic DeSabatino is missing his turn. He came out in the second inning last Wednesday at West Virginia. Just an arm ailment. It doesn't seem to be major, but perhaps just some fatigue and inflammation settling in. And you don't want to make it worse by pitching him right now.
No.
2-0, the count to Kenley. First base is open here, but Mesa's on deck. And probably at this point, very hungry. 3-0. The question is, once the Barnstormers get up the second time through the order, will we see a similar response? Ball 4 is outside. That is the 7th walk. Given up by Smith. The bases are loaded for Mesa. Still just one out in the inning. And Ross is going to rescue his starter. Tommy Shirley will be coming in.
And I was just wondering, okay, because now you lose Deaza out of the lineup. He would have been 4th in the bottom half of the inning.
We'll see if Ross makes any other moves here. He could put Deaza in the outfield. I think he's already checked in with Doug McFarling. Deaza is coming out.
Yeah,
does he take over for Clark or Torrance? Torrance is coming out. That's the natural move on the double switch. So the pitcher spot goes to 7. Deaza will go in to play the outfield. I guess a straight up move with him going to left. We'll sort it all out when we come back. Tommy Shirley takes over, the veteran left-hander in his 3rd season with the Barnstormers. The other two being 2017 and half of 2018. Facing Melky Mesa with the bases loaded, 1 out in the 3rd inning, and York with the opportunity to blow this game out of the water if Tommy can't pull in the reins. 6-1 already in favor of the Revs. In the last 7 games, the Barnstormers starting pitcher has finished the 4th inning twice, which, when you're playing with a short roster, as the Barnstormers have been, puts just an extra strain on everybody.
Just a bit.
But the pitchers have been batting well. That's the good news. Swing and a miss by Mesa.
Mesa's a dangerous guy to face anytime. Even more dangerous when the bases are loaded. My goodness.
Infield set up, double play depth, Shirley hoping to give them a chance. No balls, 1 strike. Tommy to the plate. It's met and fouled back. Mesa's at 0-2.
That was one hefty swing.
8 home runs on the season for Mesa, 39 runs batted in. Half his home runs have been here. 0-2. Dundon is at third, Harris at second, Kenley at first. And the pitch knocked foul to the right. Off the hands. Still 0-2. 6'5" Tommy Shirley from the Pittsburgh area.
I like the pitch selection to go inside and kind of jam them. Now, do they do it again or do they go outside?
2-2. Bounce, rolling away from De La Rosa, but not far enough. The lead runner Dundon opts not to take the gamble.
And that's that risk you take with a breaking ball. With a guy on third base, you better make sure that you have all the confidence in the world in your catcher. And obviously a lot of confidence with De La Rosa, who did a nice job to keep that from getting behind him.
It has been a long time since the first out was recorded in this third inning. 8 in a row have reached base for York. Ground ball to third, and that squirts past Shumpert and down the line. Run number 7 scores. Run number 8 scores. Being waved around is Kenley with run number 9. A 3-run double for Melky Mesa, who's now driven in 22 against the Barnstormers on the season on a ball that did not seem terribly well hit.
No, I don't know if it just took a funny hop on.
It came off the corner of the bag, I think.
Yeah, it never came up. Shot right underneath the glove.
3 runs across on the double. Zach Smith, 9 runs, all earned in 2 1/3 innings tonight. 9 batters in a row have reached base. It is an 8-run inning for the Revs, and here is Nelly Rodriguez, who hit an opposite field rocket earlier in this inning to break the 1-1 tie. The Barnstormers are down by a bundle of runs again. First pitch strike to Rodriguez. It is 0-1.
Yeah, and again, Lancaster's got the offense to come back, but I mean, how many times do you go to the well to count on your offense to pull through?
The rubber band has been breaking.
Yeah.
We saw that Sunday when the Barnstormers got shut out after falling behind by a lot of runs in the middle innings there. 0-2 to Nelly Rodriguez. Shirley to the plate. He misses outside for ball 1.
And I equate this just like with my New York Mets. I mean, their offense, they can't buy any runs. How long can you count on the pitching to hold up? I mean, now we're going into August in the stretch run. Oof. Painful to watch.
Ball 2 is inside on Rodriguez. Now we get to 2-2. Will the Barnstormers be able to answer? Is the foot difference having an effect or not? We really don't know. You need more data than just one game with a pitching staff that's struggling already. Swing and a miss.
Hey, pork for somebody.
Rodriguez goes down, second out after 9 batters in a row at reach base. An 8-run inning. Carlos Castro single to left earlier in this frame. The 12th man to step in here. That was a great pitch from Tommy.
Well, I guess the best thing you can do as far as getting any feedback would be to talk to Zach Smith. Say, all right, what was your assessment? What do you think?
To the inside corner, a strike on Castro. It is 0-1. Well, here's what's going on elsewhere. Southern Maryland leads Long Island 3-0 in the top of the 4th. They've got Darrell Thompson. If there's anybody who was going to figure it out, it was going to be Darrell.
Mm-hmm.
Gastonia 2-1 over West Virginia through 2.5. Lexington has 8 runs on the board in the first inning against High Point. The results, you would have to say, are mixed.
Yeah.
but we've been seeing these games all along anyway. I don't think it's accentuated. If every game tonight were to end up 17-13, then you'd know there's a problem. 0-2 to Carlos Castro.
Well, and the thing I would want to look for in the box score is how many base on balls there were. That, to me, would be kind of the telling sign.
Well, Nicely has walked no one. Smith walked 7. Shirley doesn't seem to have an issue. Lexington had 8 runs on 8 hits in that first inning. Got him to chase it.
Oh, he kicked it.
Did he?
He kicked it.
He kicked it? Yeah, okay. Bill Reuter picked it up. He swung and he missed. And De La Rosa knew it because Anderson would have been running after that for all he was worth. No back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning, but the 3-run double might have been a killer. 8 runs across in the third.
Yeah, bark in the park night here at Clipper Magazine Stadium. 9-1 Revs with Lancaster batting in the home half of the third inning. Final game of this series tomorrow night. We'll have it on the air for you on Blue Ridge 11. First pitch at 6:30, and then we wrap up our summer coverage of Barnstormer baseball on Sunday afternoon when Lancaster hosts Southern Maryland at 1 o'clock. And then at that point, a little rest and relaxation for our camera crew and production crew, and then high school football coming up in a couple of weeks.
At least you'll be accustomed to the scores.
Duly noted. I like that.
Clay Luis Rendon leads off the third inning. Rendon had the game-tying single in the 9th inning last night. He has had some clutch hits for this ball club over the course of this season. Nicely goes to work and plants a fastball in the zone. Exactly what Mark Mason wanted to see from his left-handed starter after his team just scored 8 runs. First pitch, strike. Rendon fouls off the next. It is 0-2. Nicely is in control of this game. He's allowed only 1 hit. He has 2 strikeouts. The runs unearned. I think. I might have to reconsider them. Well, yeah, he reached base on a pass ball. Fouled off the foot. 2 strikes continuing.
And this is a perfect situation for Nicely where he can just go out and doesn't have to groove it, but he doesn't have to get real cute. He can be very smart as far as his pitch selection is concerned, because you're working with an 8-run lead. But don't get too complacent, because this is a Lancaster team that can sneak up on you even though they're down by 8.
And York knows that. The Barnstormers, these teams have come from behind against each other this entire season series.
Yeah.
I guarantee York is taking nothing for granted here.
And I heard your plea again last night for the fans to do the Rendon.
2-2.
Nicely thought he had that one.
Rendon awaiting the pitch. Nicely will fire and miss inside. 3-2 just for Eric's benefit.
Thank you. Got to have at least one an inning, right?
Rendon wanders off momentarily. Smith threw 86 pitches. Nicely walks Rendon, and the Barnstormers have a chance to come back with the leadoff base on balls. Austin nicely giving up his first. Here's Gindel, who lined out to Nelly Rodriguez, leading off the game for Lancaster.
Well, that's not what Mark Mason wanted to see out of nicely with that first batter.
Gindel is in, Alamund on deck, and then the left fielder, De Aza. But 4 straight lefty batters against a left-handed starter. To the outside edge for strike. It's 0-1 on Gindel. They show an ability to hit lefties, first of all. Alamund, normally a switch hitter, but the back still has not healed up. Now a pop-up on the right side into a fair territory eventually. Rodriguez with the catch. He's grabbed 2 on Gindel, but that one was a lot easier.
And I think that was a perfect example of what you had mentioned earlier about the timing with the batters. Gindel just a hair off on that swing, got under it, popped it up.
Blake Alamund stands in. He flied to right back in the first inning, but is that a question of the mound or what the pitcher's doing to you? Again, you're going to have to see a lot of data to see if there is a difference. Strike to the inside corner. Alamund bats at 0-1.
And I think the best data is going to be surveying the players.
Alamund scalds that down the right field side, but foul. 0-2.
You know,
I actually don't think so. I think you have to wait for the games to play out.
Sure.
Because the hitters are going to come in with a natural bias. You can talk to them, but it's just like people answering surveys. That's why you have to take polls with a grain of salt.
Yep.
Foul ball back to the padding. Alamund stays in with 2 strikes in the count.
Yeah, and I think for Lancaster too, I mean, you've got to get nicely to work into some deep counts. Make him work this inning. Defense has spent too much time out in the field.
He still bats. No balls, 2 strikes. Rendon leads off first. The pitch. Alamund hits a fly ball to center. This will be very routine for Encarnacion. 2 outs with De Aza still to bat. De Aza has the Barnstormers' only base hit so far, a single into left field back in the first inning. The Barnstormers, Jeff Bianchi couldn't believe this when I said it to him last night. This team has stayed right around 500 the entire time. Tonight, in fact, is the 9th chance they've had to get back above 500. They haven't done it since they were 11-10, but they've been at 300 or 500, I should say, even up 3 different times. De Aza belts this to right center field, racing back. Encarnacion leaping at the wall, and that ball is caught by Encarnacion over the fence, taking a home run away from De Aza. They'll put a star by that one in the scorebook, and you know nothing's going right tonight when things like that begin to happen. One left on, and we'll go to the fourth inning at 9-1. There you have something to drink for the dog. Is that just water in a colored glass? I guess it is.
I was sure wouldn't be sharing my adult beverage.
Not unless you wanted to have a trip to the vet in the future. I've never heard of Munchausen by proxy with a dog involved, but maybe. Here's JC Encarnacion, who just made that fabulous catch on Diaza to end the bottom of the third inning. Not the greatest over-the-wall catch in the history of Clipper Magazine Stadium. Michael Krause's grab on K.C. Hobson will probably never be topped. Shirley to Encarnacion, cut on and missed. No balls and one strike. Herrera and Gregorio will follow.
What got me about that catch was after he came down with it and started running in, just the grin on his face, you know, knowing he took one away from Diaza.
0-2. Shirley, after giving up the 3-run double, has struck out 2 in a row, and he has Encarnacion at no balls and 2 strikes. Again, that double wasn't exactly tattooed. It looked like it might have hit the corner of the bag, hence eluding Nick Shumpert over at third base. 3 pitches, 3 strikes. Encarnacion is gone. 3 strikeouts in succession for Tommy Shirley. 1 out here in the top half of the 4th inning. Josue Herrera now coming to the plate. This season goes all the way to October 10. At least that is the plan. And hopefully it all comes to fruition. Inside and low, ball 1, no strikes. You see the Anderson De La Rosa's wife and son in a row in front. 1 ball and nothing. Popped up by Herrera on the left side of the diamond. Shumpert and Rendon are both there. Shumpert calls for it and makes the grab. 2 are out, and the batter will be a shortstop, Osmi Gregorio. 2 are gone here in the top of the 4th inning. The Barnstormers have not given up 10 runs in an inning all year, but the number of times they have allowed 6 to 9 is disturbing. And we have another one of those innings tonight. It's tough to recover from them.
Yeah.
Mostly early in the game, although there has been a 9th inning with an 8 that we painfully remember. 1-0, the count on Gregorio. The Barnstormers playing their 61st game tonight, and they have given up 225 runs in the first 3 innings. It's an average of 3.7 runs per game in the first 3 innings.
Oh my.
strike is taken. It's 1-1.
Well, I was looking through your notes. Does it show how many games they gave up double-digit runs?
I'd have to go back and count.
It just seems like it's been a ton.
It's a lot.
Now
2-1, and they've also scored double-digit runs.
Right. I was just about to
quite
say
often,
that.
and 9 times both have occurred in the same game.
Yeah. And that's where you get those football scores.
2-1 pitch. Fastball, a nice one. 2-2. Tommy Shirley has come on and gotten the job done. The Barnstormers have a lot of ground to make up, and Encarnacion made sure they didn't make any headway in the 3rd inning. That would have been a 2-run home run off the bat of De Aza. And I'm sure Alejandro has made a catch or two like that in his career and can appreciate the work. One of the great tips of the cap in a game like that for a fantastic catch, and the guy's name escapes me now. Andrew Jones made the play in the outfield, I believe, but the Orioles' 3rd baseman, outstanding player, Manny Machado, in the World Baseball Classic. Fouled off. And was it Andrew Jones, or was it well, anyway, one of Machado's teammates made a spectacular catch over the wall, and for the final out of an inning, just a tip of the cap. And probably that thought, why didn't you do that last season? Why now? Gregorio batting at 2-2. Inside and low, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
I mean, there's really not much else you can do but, tip your cap. I mean, Andrew Jones, I'm sure, took away many a home run and extra base hits. That guy, the way he played outfield was incredible.
It wasn't. Adam Jones.
Oh,
I got the wrong A. Jones.
Okay.
I knew the time, the era wasn't correct. Popped up, first base, Dugan there. Tommy Shirley is set down 5-0. Adam Jones, not Andrew Jones. Nothing across on the top of the 4th. We're through 3.5. It's 9-1. Nine-1 score as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. And the Barnstormers have seen very little success so far against Austin Nicely. And when they have hit the ball well, it has been caught. Good night to be out on the broken bat deck here at Clipper Magazine Stadium. Also a good night to have 9 runs of support if you're Austin Nicely. Kelly Dugan steps in. He struck out back in the 1st inning. Cracks a foul down the left side, and it's 0-1. But I really have to say, we haven't seen any difference in play. Taken low by Dugan. It is 1-1. Certainly not to the level we might have anticipated. On the left side, Backhanded pickup is made. The throw across in time to get Dugan. Gregorio had all he could handle with the way that came up. And he still was able to convert the play, and he's smiling.
Wow.
York making the defensive plays. Ground ball by Dugan.
Just kind of like a blind stab at it. Jeez.
And then the spin, little extra panache. The hat slightly off center. It all goes together.
Yeah, he's describing it.
Here's Clark with one out. Ladarius struck out, but he scored the run. Taking a pitch inside and low. Ball one, no strikes. Lower half of the fourth inning. West Virginia now leads Gastonia 5-2 in the top of the fourth inning. Still 8-1 Lexington over High Point through 2, and Southern Maryland 3, Long Island nothing in the fifth. 2-1 on the fastball.
I guess the guy really to ask would be Darrell Thompson about the mound situation.
I'm not sure anything phases Darrell.
No, just to hear what his mindset is, and
Clark,
if there was any difference to his approach.
Clark picks up a walk. It's his second. Anderson De La Rosa drove in the run back in the second inning. He'll step to the plate. Nicely still has given up only one hit, though how, I don't know. His defense has had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
There was Gindle's line drive right at Rodriguez back in the first inning. A great play by Encarnacion in the third, and a slick move by Gregorio against Dugan here in the fourth inning. De La Rosa standing in. First pitch strike, served in there by Nicely. It's 0-1.
Somehow, some way, just need to string a couple of hits together. Granted, this is the second time through, and just might take a third time before they figure him out.
Low for a ball, 1-1. Nicely's pitch count is also beginning to climb. He is currently at, I believe, 59 after that last pitch.
I'm sure next inning you might start to see a little stir in the York bullpen.
1-1. De La Rosa drives this to right. Chasing after it is Harris. He'll make the catch, and that is going to be a very easy double play.
Yes, indeed.
Keeping the pitch count down. 9-3. Clark was off, and no chance to get back. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. Nothing going right for the Barnstormers tonight, and it's 9-1 York.
They've been through a lot in the last year.
The Barnstormers trailed by 8. The top of the third inning, the difference. 9 consecutive York batters reached base, producing 8 runs. It was capped by the Milky Mesa 3-run double down the third baseline. Tommy Shirley, since that double, has retired 5 consecutive batters, 3 strikeouts, and 2 easy pop-ups to the corners. But the harm was done, and the Barnstormers have not been able to answer against Austin nicely.
But the silver lining is Shirley has looked really good out of the bullpen.
That is one silver lining. The other silver lining is that the move of the pitching rubber has not created a disaster. I mean, there were fears that the games would be totally altered. The pitchers wouldn't be able to throw strikes. I don't think it's been really any different than what we've been seeing all year. Andrew Dundon, the designated hitter, leads off the top half of the 5th inning. Shirley pops a fastball in high. It is 1-0. Dundon is grounded out and walked. Right there from the lefty. 1 ball, 1 strike. Out with a series of arm ailments. Tommy missed about 6 weeks. And I think Ross will probably get him back in the starting rotation at some point. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2.
Yeah, and it's a shame, too, because it was that stretch that they really, really needed a healthy pitching staff.
He was going to be the ace. And then he went down. It was what next? Another strikeout for him. That's 4. Shirley is looking brilliant.
Yeah, he looks really strong here tonight.
One out, top of the order, and James Harris. He's walked twice and doubled. His double drove in 2. They reloaded the bases, and Mesa drove in 3.
Of course.
In the air, right field now. Gindel turns around, and the walls will not contain it. The Barnstormers have given up 2 home runs tonight, and it's 10-1. Just as we were talking about how exceptional Tommy Shirley had been, he allows a right-handed hitter to get the arms extended, and the Barnstormers continue to get burned by their own ballpark. And that has been very problematic this season. The Barnstormers built for this facility, and they have been out-homered here 66-44.
Wow.
By clubs with right-handed hitters going the other way.
Well, and that just makes this season that bizarre season that you are talking about. I mean, these are the kind of numbers you would expect to see out of Lancaster, but to see it out of the opposing team is really what shakes your head.
1-0 pitch popped up behind shortstop. It will be De Aza coming in for the catch. 2 are out. And the batter will be Milky Mesa. 10-1 ball game. Playing the top half of the 5th inning. And in case you were wondering, yes, we are over a 3-hour pace.
What was it? I mean, I know the game went extra innings.
4:18 last night. Got done at 10:50. 2 outs, space is clear. Mesa with a foul ball that you heard hit the netting through our crowd microphone, not all that far away. Little poof. 0-1 to Mesa.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back on that pitch to Mesa. Of course, he was Shirley was his first batter that he faced was Mesa. But I think really the one bad pitch was to Harris on that home run.
It was more the placement of that ground ball and the fact that it was hit very hard. Shirley has struck out 4. He's retired 7 of 9 batters.
And again, that's why in a game like this, you try and pick out some positives. And I think right here, Shirley's outing here tonight is one that Ross can be very encouraged about.
Two is on the way. That skips up there for ball 3. Nelly Rodriguez is on deck. Payoff coming, and he lost him. Mesa draws a walk. The 8th given up by Lancaster pitching tonight. Rodriguez will step in.
First baseman Nelly Rodriguez.
York is enjoying this one. Barnstormers lead the War of the Roses 8 games to 6 with 3 walk-off wins in the process. But York does have the edge in runs in the season series, as one might expect. If you remember opening night at home, 18-2, that alone would have done it. Fouled back to the net. And again, a little pop in our crowd microphone. One strike to the guy who would be the infamous Keith Jackson's favorite player in the Atlantic League.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, Nelly.
Yeah, I can imagine him calling one of his home runs.
He would have done it back in the 3rd inning. I would have gotten a whoa, Nelly.
Oh, yeah.
Out of Keith Jackson.
He was
The
a
greatest
classic
college football broadcaster probably ever. Though I think Chris Fowler is tremendous. I think he's the best of the current college football play-by-play men. Fouled away. Though I'll have to tip my hat because there's somebody that we got to know here in Lancaster who's the voice of the Somerset Patriots for 2 or 3 years. Adam Amin does a marvelous job on secondary games on ESPN.
Oh, is that right?
College football.
I always enjoyed Vern Lundquist, too.
SEC football. CBS Saturday, 3:30. Vern and Gary. Love Vern. Alabama fans are not allowed to like Gary Danielson. Even if you say you like Gary Danielson, you fall out of favor with the Alabama faithful. 1-2. Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Not exactly what Nelly Rodriguez had in mind on that pitch, but Shirley strikes out his 5th. A run scores on the home run, 1 left, and it's 10-1. The pitcher's spot will lead off the 5th inning for the Barnstormers, and we might see Tommy Shirley with a bat in hand, peering down to the dugout, and
Sure
definitely looks like it's going to be the case.
Shirley looks like it.
Surely you can't be serious, and all those other lines.
You wonder how many times that was used on him and thinking, oh gosh, when's this going to end? So I'm guessing then, because Ross wants to eventually work him into the starting rotation, he's going to let him go another inning or two.
I would certainly think that'll be the case. Plus, Smith only went 2 1/3, and you've got to understand, I believe I mentioned this earlier, only twice in the last 7 Barnstormers games is the starting pitcher gone 4 innings.
Yeah.
A couple of cases because of injuries. They have come out. First pitch to Tommy is outside from Austin nicely. It is ball 1. Barnstormers pitchers are hot. We've seen a couple of knocks here on this homestand. Garrett Grant, it's an infield single. Brent Teller had a base hit. Here's a 1-1 to Shirley. That is fouled at the plate. And not the prettiest of swings.
Wasn't it Espinal had a home run?
Espinal has a home run. He also has a double. His slugging percentage, his OPS is 1333. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Though Shirley is dispatched rather easily. And that is the 3rd strikeout for Nicely tonight. 1 out. Nick Schumpert will be the batter. The Barnstormers cannot gain any traction whatsoever in this game.
So I hate to bring this up, but did you ever think, geez, if we would have had all our starters from the beginning of the season and what this offense can do?
Yeah, I think every team could say that. Because
did every team lose their starting 5?
Yeah, every team's been rated in some way, shape, or form. It would be interesting to see if nobody had been signed out of the Atlantic League this year, what the competition would be like. Of course, you'd have a bunch of guys probably hanging it up saying nobody's getting signed out of the Atlantic League, and that's why we all came here. It's been 70 now. Players have had their contracts purchased out of the league from before the start of the season through now. And with the affiliated minor leagues going later than they've ever gone before, they're going to the 1st of October or so. You could still see it happen for some people. 2-1 to Schumpert. Smashed up the middle and into center field. That is a 9-game hitting streak for Schumpert. And the way this hitting streak is gone, he should probably give up his spot tonight because he's only had 1 at a time. 1 hit per game in the 9-game streak. Clean single up the middle, and Rondon will step in. We saw Schumpert do we're down 10-1. I don't want to overdo this, Rondon.
Well, I would have a question for the Elias Sports Bureau. What is the longest batting streak in the major leagues where the player's batting average actually went down? I'm sure they could figure it out and find out.
Foul ball off to the right, now to play.
Because typically somebody puts together an 18-game hitting streak, their average is going to go up.
Because it's tough to go 1 for every night.
Yeah.
Schumpert's managed to do it 9 games in a row. It would probably have to be early in a season where a guy started off hot. Rondon with a fly ball right center field. Galloping over Encarnacion. He'll surround it for out number 2. Caleb Gindel to the plate.
Right fielder Caleb Gindel.
Encarnacion has been a terrific pickup for York. He can play third base in the outfield. They've used him far more in the outfield. Just a very athletic build. He's been a very good hitter. He is a good hitter to the opposite field. The Barnstormers know all about that. And plays defense quite well.
Yeah.
Ball is outside Gindel, 1-0.
There's evidence of that grab in the third inning.
And that's what we said about this York Ball Club. They're on their fourth shortstop in Osmi Gregorio, and he's looked awfully good out there. Gindel with a foul away. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 outs. Schumpert, the base runner, here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. The single by Schumpert was just Lancaster's second. Alejandro De Aza has the other. They get 1 and 2. But I really would like to see that. What the Atlantic League would have looked like just for a couple of weeks with all the original rosters together.
Yeah.
To see that level of competition, give the Barnstormers Heath Philmeyer, and to give High Point Tyler Ladendorf back, and just on and on throughout the league. Calixta with York. Some of the pitchers that York lost, whose names escape me now. Smashed foul by Gindel. He will stay alive at 1 and 2. But so much pitching has been lost. Everybody expects the next pitcher to go out of this league will be Scott Schumann. Everybody's scratching their heads. Why is he still here?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Gindel batting at 1 and 2 because they look for consistency.
Right.
They look for, can you throw 2 innings? He's proven that.
Yep.
Can you throw back-to-back nights and still be effective the second night? He's proven that.
Yep.
You just don't know why Scott hasn't been acquired by somebody.
I guess you almost have to pose that question to a scout.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And Gindel, pop fly, right field, pretty shallow, but coming on is Harris for the grab. It will end it here in the bottom of the 5th inning. 1 hit, 1 left for the Barnstormers. At the end of 5, it's 10-1. Barnstormers fans come in all shapes, sizes, and ages. Barnstormers down tonight 10-1. We thought Tommy Shirley would stay in when he batted for himself, but not the case. Garrett Granitz has taken over on the hill as we go to the top of the 6th inning. For Shirley tonight, 2 hits and a run in 2 2/3 innings. He walked 1 and struck out 5. So certainly a lot to like about the left-hander's performance. Ross Peoples goes to his submarine-style pitcher. This came in with Butch Hobson and Justin Siegel in 2011, and the Barnstormers have had a series of guys who pitched from down under. The most notable, of course, was Shunsuke Watanabe, but Granitz has been here the longest of all of them. He's having a season that I guess you would say has had mixed results. Facing Carlos Castro, the slugging catcher, leading off here in the 6th inning. Granite is into his 25th game of the year. Breaking ball misses outside. 1-0. From down under, the pitch below the knees. Granite has fallen behind 2-0. Part of a championship team at Sun Prairie in Wisconsin when he was in high school, and I'm told by contacts that I still have in the Madison area that Sun Prairie is a pretty annual powerhouse. Huge basketball fan is Granite. He also played basketball in high school. Bouncing ball to the first baseman. Dugan will wave off Granite and take it himself. 3 unassisted. We have 1 gone here in the top of the 6th inning.
So you're saying what, Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay.
Or you have to say it correctly, Wisconsin.
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 So how do you have spring sports in Wisconsin when there's snow on the ground probably until mid-April?
And believe me, I experienced that. We had some games snowed out when I was out there. It can be difficult, especially because the ground freezes.
Yeah.
Out there at those brutally cold winters. You don't know what cold temperatures are until you live out in the upper Midwest. You don't experience temperatures like that here. The coldest that I ever was outside in was 31 below zero. That was Super Bowl Sunday. We had a league meeting in Beloit, Wisconsin, which was 50 minutes or so south of Madison. And 31 below zero. Fly ball, left center field, lofted out there. Easy pickings for Clark, 2 outs.
And that's not taking.
That was not the wind chill. The wind chill, this was on the old scale, which was different. The wind chill, I believe, was 74 below. It was brutal. Half the cars didn't start. As league executives went to head back to their various cities. Beloit was pretty centrally located at that time. That league wasn't very far spread out. Our longest bus ride, I think, was 4 or 5 hours to Springfield, Illinois. 2 outs. Here's Josue Herrera. 1 out of 3. Hot smash. Dugan right there. Granite pitches a very quick 1-2-3 inning. 8 pitches. Down go the Revs. Up come the Barnstormers, but they're trailing by 9. Barnstormers getting bounced tonight by the York Revolution. Alaman, Deaza, and Dugan will step in against Austin Nicely here in the 6th inning of play. We're talking about the climate of Wisconsin. And I mentioned it, Eric, between innings, what an amazing sight it is to see early December out there. Madison's built on a series of lakes. And to be driving on one of the lake shores through downtown, and on an early December morning, sun coming up, it's about 8 degrees below zero, and the cold air hits the relatively warmer waters of the lake, which maybe are still around 40 degrees at the time. And it just forms this amazingly dense fog. It's really pretty with the sun out.
I hope you got some pictures.
Not from back then, no.
No.
But I've also played softball on the lake.
What?
When it's frozen out, the ice is 3 feet thick. You can do anything you want on the lakes. You play softball, volleyball. It's actually a blast. 1-1.
Well, wait a minute.
Swing and a miss by Blake Alleman.
What are you doing for traction?
There could be a little bit of snow left out there too.
Okay.
Yeah. Played softball actually at our stadium on New Year's Day one year. About 6 layers of clothing on. Alleman almost hit. It's 2-2. And my Oakland A's jacket, sweatshirt on underneath, gloves, a couple other layers underneath the sweatshirt. 0 degrees outside. But it's not that biting damp cold. It's that very crisp cold, and you don't feel it as much as long as you have the layers of clothing on. Make sure you've got a hat on and gloves.
And I know there's people that think, well, wait a minute, when it's that cold, it's got to be. No, it's just that when there's moisture in the air, that's what gets through you.
Yes, and wind.
Yes. That sounds like it'd be fun.
Swing and a miss.
Man.
Alleman is gone on strikes. That is number 4 for Nicely, who's pitching a gem. 1 out. De Aza comes to the plate. Alejandro has gotten his swings in against Nicely. He has slapped a single into left field and needed about 3 more inches for his 6th home run. It was caught over the fence by Encarnacion back in the 3rd inning. First time up since that. Nicely to the plate, strike at the knees.
You know, and you think about this, I mean, that's the 3rd inning. He gets that home run. It's 9-4. All right, you're still down, but it's a little bit more manageable. 9 runs down here in the 6th inning, and you're quickly running out of outs. That's quite the hill to climb.
The Barnstormers have fallen victim as of late to some pretty good outings on the hill. And to me, that sounds the alarm.
Well,
1 ball, 1 strike.
And you said it back at the beginning of the season. You think, based on the condition and the lack of pitching, the team with the pitching is going to win it this year.
The team that can find even a reasonable amount of pitching. That's why I think Southern Maryland is dangerous. 2-1. It's so tough to win night in and night out when you're where the Barnstormers are in terms of pitching.
Yeah.
3-1. This team has done an absolutely remarkable job. I think Ross has done a remarkable job just to be 30-30 in that first half.
Yeah. Yep.
Down 62 runs in the half in terms of the differential. Half swing, ground ball, 3rd base. The play will be charged by Herrera, but he can't scoop it up. I imagine that will go down as a base hit. Off the check swing by De Aza, Herrera was playing back. He had a long way to go. 1 out and a base runner on for the Barnstormers. Indeed, an infield single for De Aza. Kelly Dugan stepping in. A play that could have been made, but you don't necessarily ask somebody to make it routinely. The Dugan check swing, and the breaking ball swings outside. Ball 1, no strikes. Of course, tonight is the first night of what we refer to as the Great Experiment, with the pitching rubber, not the mound per se, but the rubber being moved back a foot, and then they had to regrade the mound. And scoring's not out of control. Southern Maryland's up 4-0 through 6 behind Darrell Thompson, bidding for his second straight Atlantic League Pitcher of the Year honor. Only Dwayne Pollock has done it previously. Dugan slams this out to center on the line, but Encarnacion is right there for out number 2.
Well, that sounded good off the bat, but it just seemed to just die once it got into the outfield.
Clark will be the hitter. West Virginia is up on Gastonia 9-3 in the 5th, and Lexington leads High Point 9-1 in the bottom of the 4th inning. So, in total, the run scoring is not out of control, but you've got 3 blowouts going on tonight in the Atlantic League. Clark has walked and struck out. Deaza, the runner at first base, with 2 outs. And Ladarius, he lifts a fly ball out to right center field. And again, it is Encarnacion who's getting to the ball. 1 hit, 1 left. We're done with 6, and it's 10-1 York. Doing the twist here at Clipper Magazine Stadium. One remembers we had Chubby Checker here, leading everybody in the twist. We tried to set the world record, but we didn't meet all of the Guinness Book of World Records requirements, and they are substantial.
Really?
It was tough to fulfill everything. And I guess we came up short on a couple of the demands. We had cameras all over the place, video, still cameras, head counts.
Got to get through all that red tape.
There was a lot of it. I mean, you got to think there's probably a lot of fraud trying to get in there.
Yeah.
So I certainly can understand on Guinness's part. There you get a look at Darian Sanford. Not in the lineup tonight for Mark Mason. Guerrero, Dundon, and Harris to step in against the right-hander Garrett Granitz as we go to the 7th inning. Living in Madison, Wisconsin, one of the more unusual adventures of my life. The culture out there is very different. I found it engaging. I loved my time out there. Hard hit ground ball right side for a base hit. That is Gregorio's 3rd of the ball game, and a total of 9 now for York.
Did you go ice fishing?
I did not do that. I knew people that did, but ice fishing was actually the topic of one of the funnier conversations that I ever was privy to. It was on a bus. If you remember Terry Steinbach, the longtime catcher for the Oakland A's, he was our 3rd baseman in 1984. Ball is outside to Dundon, 1-0. And we had a reliever, a closer, in fact. It was a guy by the name of Scott Whaley, who was from Georgia. Foul ball back to the padding. It is 1 ball, 1 strike. And Steinbach was trying to tell Whaley about ice fishing, and Whaley didn't believe him that something like that was even possible.
Oh, come on.
It was quite humorous.
Just watch grumpy old men.
2 balls, 1 strike. Terry was from New Ulm, Minnesota, if I remember correctly.
Oh, so he had plenty of experience.
Missing inside is Granite's 3-1 on Dundon. Last inning went by easily for Garrett, a 1-2-3 frame on 8 pitches. But Gregorio leads off this inning with a single into right. Dundon is ahead in the count 3-1. Granite serves it up and it's cut on and foul tipped. 3-2. Steinbach stuck around. No balls and a strike here. Although I doubt that volleyball is in the offing this year. I won't be home from this season. 1-1 to Rodriguez. 2 on, 2 out. Top half of the 7th inning.
So even though it's not baseball season, you're home, but you're not home. You're gone evenings.
I do basketball, sometimes volleyball, and I do Scholastic Bowl.
You do what?
Scholastic Bowl.
Oh,
it's one of my favorite off-season things to do is be the quiz master for the smart kids.
What, 4 to a team?
Yes. Yep. 3 balls and a strike. And it's ball 4 to Rodriguez, bringing on Castro with the bases loaded. 10th walk given up by Barnstormers pitching in this one. And Ross Peoples is going to pay a mound visit, if I'm not mistaken. This is his third and final, but oh, what the heck. And granted, you could read his lips. Where's that one? Garrett, not a happy camper. It takes quite a bit to get Granite's upset. Not a guy who's known to lose his cool.
And obviously Ross senses that, so that's why he went out, just to try and calm him down, saying, look, you got one more out. Let's get them out. Yeah.
He also seems to, he's talking to De La Rosa more than he's talking to Granite.
So maybe he's trying to find out from Anderson where these pitches are.
Meanwhile, I think that was Silo warming up in the bullpen. He's thrown a first pitch or two in his day, or her day, or its day.
What'd you say? Now
Ross is milking this one.
you wonder, is he making some comments to?
Yeah, he might be.
To Doug McFarling?
The Ross with the, I love this word, fescue. Growing. A 3 or 4 day growth of beard. Granite's operating with the bases loaded, 2 outs here in the 7th. Stepping in is Castro. He's 1 for 4 here tonight.
And now he's going to have to dig deep, not let the frustrations get to him. He's got one more guy to get out.
And it's a strike to the inside corner, 0-1. And somewhere Granite's is saying thank you, perhaps with a tinge of sarcasm.
Yeah, quite possible.
But it's all under his breath, I think. 0-1. Off the end of the bat, foul. 2 quick strikes on the York catcher. Batting with Dundon, Kenley, and Rodriguez on the bases. That is Jack Kenley on your screen.
So a perfect chance here for Granite to try and get Castro to go fishing for something out of the strike zone.
0-2 popped up. Should end the inning. Dugan into foul territory for an easy catch. Granite gives up 1 but limits the harm. 2 hits and 3 left. Time for the stretch. 11-1. The highlights mostly belong to the York Revolution. Nelly Rodriguez going to the opposite field. That was part of a chain of 9 York batters in a row reaching base in the 3rd inning. 2-run double for James Harris. Now you see the defensive play of the night as J.C. Encarnacion went over the wall in right center to Rob DeAza. Harris adding a home run for the York Revolution. 11-1 for the visitors here tonight. The Barnstormers have managed only 3 singles in the ball game. Last night, a thrilling come from behind 10-9 win for this Barnstormers team. Lancaster has a fabulous team on the field. We have seen that the entire year. A tremendous offense leading the league in runs scored. But Eric and I have talked about this at length. How many times can you ask them to come out and make up the early deficit? And we talked about how the Barnstormers have fallen a lot lately to some great starting efforts. But I believe in every one of those games, the other team has piled on a lot of runs early, and that's why I say alarm bells. I'm not saying this team is in a slump. I'm saying that they're starting to get a little bit worn out from trying to come from behind every night.
York has scored 11 runs, but let's not overlook what this guy has done tonight. I mean, he has pitched a outstanding ball game.
He's been terrific. But would it be the same without that big lead? You don't know.
Right.
Here's De La Rosa, who has driven in the run with a little ground out and lined into a double play. First pitch strike, it is 0-1. Last night, the deficit wasn't all that big, and the Barnstormers roared back.
Well, they were able to chip away at it. But nicely, it's just kept them off balance.
Ground ball, shortstop. That is collected by Gregorio and an easy out, one away here in the seventh. And nicely has actually turned into one of the best starting pitchers in the Atlantic League. His 4.06 ERA, which doesn't sound spectacular, but consider this. He was third in the league coming into tonight. Number one, Darryl Thompson. He's done nothing to hurt himself. Number two was also from Southern Maryland, Mike Devine, whose contract was purchased, I believe, by Mexico, one of the Mexican League teams. We have Trayvon Robinson batting from the right side of the plate now, swing and a miss. Robinson getting the night off. He has been cold at the plate. When Trayvon gets hot, he can do some amazing things for about a week straight. Little roller out ahead of the plate. Up with it is Castro. He will gun down Robinson, 2 away in the bottom of the seventh inning, and Schumpert will step into the batter's box. There was a week, I think it was in 2018, where Robinson, out of 7 games, 5 times either drove in the winning run, the tying run, threw out the tying run at the plate, and I believe one time scored the winning run, and it may have been 6 of the 7 games. He came up big in some way every night. Taken for a ball. Schumpert is ahead in the count, 1-0.
So he stole the show.
A swing and a miss. Can Schumpert get a second hit? I don't know if right now I necessarily want him to. It would break the mojo. Had he gotten the timeout or not, he was in no position to hit, but the pitch counts. It's 2-1.
I can't see. Okay. They did change it on the board.
Yeah.
I couldn't see Doug McFarling's sign.
I could.
Okay.
He clearly flashed 2-1. Schumpert to right field on the line. Harris over. He'll make the catch. Nothing getting past York. The Barnstormers limited to 3 hits in the ball game through 7, and it's 11-1. Eighth inning of baseball tonight with York winning substantially. 11-1 our score. Garrett Granitz gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, and 2 runs in his 2 innings of work. And now he hands the baseball to Yoel Espinal. And watching Espinal's progress in the last couple of weeks has definitely been a positive. He's dropped his arm slot, and it has done him a world of good. Yoel pitched the 7th inning last night and set the side down in order. As much as his pitches run, though, that extra foot might make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Batter is J.C. Encarnacion, 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored tonight, but also the defensive gem of the ball game. 8th inning of baseball. Espinal goes to work, winds, fires. His first pitch is off the inside corner. It is ball 1. And hammered down the left field line. Is it going to hook enough? And it does not. That is a fair ball and a home run. Another one given up by the Barnstormers, the 3rd of the season for J.C. Encarnacion, and it is now 12-1. Josue Herrera, the 3rd baseman, will come to the plate at 1 for 4.
And he just completely blew off Herrera, who was willing to give him a high five.
You know, the pandemic.
Oh. Okay. Encarnacion's had a lot of fun here tonight. Rob Diaz a home run, hits a home run, has had plenty of action out in the outfield.
Diaz had no chance to rob him of that one either. That would have been payback. Fly ball out toward right center field. Clark broke back, makes up for it. And there's 1 out in this top of the 8th inning in what is now a 12-1 game. Osmi Gregorio steps to the plate, 3 for 4 for him, a double. He has scored a run, he has driven in a run. And Espinal's throwing strikes now, and that in itself has been a big change.
I was just thinking that.
Pitching with far greater confidence to Gregorio, strike on the outside corner. It's a dramatic change.
And again, this is a situation where you got to try and find some positives. And we saw it with Shirley. So far, Espinal just throws strikes. And he's got good movement on his pitches, and that has been the discussion. It's a matter of doing it consistently.
A little bit of reinvention here for Yoel. But Ross likes Espinal's bulldog attitude, even with all the struggles he has endured this season. 0-2, put him away. Espinal with the strikeout, 2 gone, and the batter will be Andrew Dundon.
Designated hitter Andrew Dundon.
What Espinal has done with the dropping of his arm slot is his pitches are all really moving, either tailing in on the right-handed batters, as that one did with the 2-seam fastball, or the slider is laterally breaking away from the right-handed hitters, as we saw in the previous one. 1-0 pitch, missing outside, now 2-0. But I definitely like the change. Strike taken, 2-1. And why Ross likes Yoel so much is through all the difficulties he's had, he's never gone, oh, my arm hurts, I don't want to pitch today.
Yeah.
It's like, give me the baseball, I want to get better. He runs it inside on Dundon. Now we go to 3-1.
It almost appears he's He's pitching. He's not trying to throw. I know people say, well, what do you mean? He looks much more fluid and smooth in his delivery right now.
The 3-1. Oh, maybe we spoke a little bit too soon tonight as he walks Dundon. The Barnstormers have walked 11 batters tonight, and you say, well, it's the foot difference in the pitching rubber, but it hasn't affected nicely. And as we look around the league, it hasn't affected other pitchers and other staffs.
Well, I mean, Shirley gave up 1 and 2 and 2/3 innings. I mean, that's nothing to get upset about.
Espinal has walked 1 with 2 outs here in the 8th. James Harris takes a strike at his 0-1. That walk kind of came out of the blue, but it's been pretty much nothing but strikes otherwise for Yoel. His next pitch is inside. Harris, who's already walked twice in the game, had to bail on that. But again, the Barnstormers have given up 3 more home runs in this game. They're just getting killed by the long ball at their own ballpark. 2-1. And I think there's a lesson to be learned here. And that lesson is the Barnstormers, whenever they've had winning teams in here, they've had a big right-handed hitter. You can't just build from the left side of the plate.
No, you can't.
Look at 2012. You had Ryan Harvey. Lentini was a right-handed batter. Denker, the second half of the season, was a right-handed batter. Take that into 13. 14, there was Cole Garner.
Yep.
17, Sean Halton. And now a walk to Harris. We definitely put the broadcast whammy on Espinal. I'm going to take full responsibility for that one. First and second, and here's Kenley. 2006, Jose Ortiz. And even if you look at great offensive teams that didn't pitch very well, you still had the Michael Woods, Matt LeCroy. 1-0 on Kenley. You've got to have that right side of the plate presence in the middle of the lineup. 2-0. And I think it's easy to just glom onto left-handed batters for this ballpark.
Right, but then when you play in other ballparks, then that becomes neutralized.
It also makes the matchups difficult if you've got a really good left-handed pitcher who's tough on left-handed hitters. Now 3-0. Boy, we did it to Espinal. We did a number on the poor guy, didn't we?
Oh,
Talking about how well he's throwing strikes, and we like the change.
Hey, Hurley saying, or Kenley saying, do I get a green light?
3 balls and nothing. Espinal gets one across. It's 3-1.
I mean, our comments are like a wet blanket just being thrown right over him.
First and second with 2 outs. Ball 4 is outside, loading them up for, oh gosh, Melky Mesa, not again. For the love of all that is good and right, can we avoid facing this guy with a ton of runners on base? (12-1). Here we sit in the top of the 8th with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Mesa 1 for 4 in this game, but it was a 3-run double. Espinal will go to work and drill the inside corner. Good start. And it's 0-1. Mesa is the 7th man to bat in this half inning. The breaking ball is chased. And Espinal's ahead 0-2. Yoel, tell me you just wanted this matchup.
Yeah.
You purposely walked the last 3 because you wanted to get Mesa. Tell me that's what this is all about.
Wanted to raise his game.
0-2. And a Mesa.
Ooh, watch out.
Inside, forcing him back out of there.
You know,
It's all part of the master plan.
Well, sure it is.
Sure it is.
For the most part, they've done a good job of keeping Mace off the base. The one big thing is that 3-run double back in the 3rd inning.
And it was a ground ball. It looked like it was going to be played, maybe not for an out, but it could have been a force out. And then it ticked off the corner of the bag. Struck him out.
There you go.
It was the master plan. That's what it was. A run on the home run and 3 men left on base in the top half of the 8th inning. Go to the bottom of the 8th, and it will be Rendon, Gindel, and Aleman for the Barnstormers in this one-sided contest. She has other things going on in her life besides this baseball game tonight, apparently. Rendon leading off here in the 8th inning is walked and flied out to center. There have been a ton of putouts tonight in center and right fields. 5 putouts for Encarnacion in center. And 4 for Harrison Wright. Strike taken, it's 1-1.
And this just kind of typifies tonight. This is Rendon's 3rd at bat. Here we are in the bottom of the 8th inning. York, they were getting their 3rd at bat in the 5th inning. And some in the 4th.
Rendon gets a timeout because what's our catchphrase for the year, Eric? Sleep is overrated. 1-1. Ground ball, shortstop. Should be easy for Gregorio, and it is. 1 out. That's 6 in a row, set down by Nicely, who's now thrown 102 pitches for the game. Caleb Gindel to the plate. He is 0 for 3. Certainly not an enjoyable night for the Barnstormers faithful.
Not at all.
York has handed the Barnstormers some pretty one-sided losses this year. You think back to opening night here, 18-2. Gindel rolls this toward the middle. Kenley will get behind it and throw for the 2nd out. Very little life in the Barnstormers in this game. 2 outs. Second baseman Blake Alleman will come to the plate. Now you saw a lot of life last night with the come-from-behind win and the great celebration that the Barnstormers had upon winning that game last night. So it is still there. But it definitely seems like there have been one too many of these games. And when they're down by so many runs early, that the towel is being waved.
Well, and I keep going back to that 3rd inning when Encarnacion took the home run away from Diazo. You just wonder if that was just so deflating.
I think it was. I think that was pretty much the moment that this night went into the oh what the heck basket. 2-1.
Yeah.
And last night you saw how much fight, how much character this team has, but it's August now. You've been playing for almost 2.5 months, and so many of these one-sided games that it's almost like there's a, I don't think it's a conscious decision as Alleman smashes a base hit into right, his first of the game.
He stays hot.
But I think the point is here, there's almost an unconscious idea of conserving the energy for games that you find yourselves in.
Yeah.
And the Barnstormers have been winning the close ones, and that's why they're so far above what their record should be based on the run differential. Is because this ball club plays some great clutch baseball, and they have won a lot of close ball games, especially lately. But man, when they're on the short end, it's like tonight. De Aza gets flattened by Nicely. Ball 1-0, and you could take offense to that, but De Aza is so close to the plate. I don't remember too many Barnstormers who are as on top of the dish as De Aza is. Ball 1, no strikes, with 2 outs and a runner on in the bottom of the 8th inning. Nobody behind Nicely in the bullpen, although I don't expect him to go all 9 innings.
Well, I was thinking that after he got Rondon to ground out, and then he got Gindel on the first pitch. I thought, well, if this is a quick inning, do we see him in the 9th? But it's been a little bit longer here now in the 8th.
De Aza with 2 of Lancaster's 4 hits. Swung on and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike on Alejandro.
Well, and as you alluded to earlier, you know, the fact this is a team that is at 500, and you would think after that emotional win last night, could this be the start of a potential winning streak? It just doesn't. It's not happening.
They can't gain traction.
Yeah.
Because you come out, and the next thing you know, you're down 9-1 in the 3rd inning. Fly ball out to left. This should be easy for Mesa. It is. A 4-batter inning in the 8th. 1 hit, 1 left. We'll see if Nicely comes out for the 9th. 12-1 York. 12-1, we go to the top of the 9th inning, and it will be Gabriel Moya taking over for the Barnstormers simply because he needs the work. The Barnstormers setup man ordinarily. Moya in Charleston was either fun to watch or incredibly aggravating, depending on which side you were on. Because Moya is all about time and tempo, and he doesn't care about anybody else's schedule. He threw to first base, like we've seen him do here. He would at times be in the stretch for seemingly forever. He dictates the schedule of the game as soon as he gets a runner on base, and even with the bases empty, you'll see him quick pitch a guy and then wait 10 seconds before going into the motion. You'll see him start and stop and go again. He's facing Nelly Rodriguez, who is homered, walked twice, and struck out twice. A 3-result hitter. Oh, no. The marketing people are trying to eradicate them. You see Moya's numbers. They're obviously very good. Outside to Rodriguez. It is ball 1, 1-0. We have reached the top of the 9th. In theory, we could speed through this inning and get this game in under 3 hours. But it would take a couple of 1, 2, 3 innings.
Yeah.
Ball 1, no strikes. And that gets to the inner edge. It is 1-1.
When you see 11-1 or 12-1, you don't think a game is going to be played in 3 hours. You're thinking it's going to take a lot longer.
But these games can, because the strategy leaves.
Yeah.
And that's strategy will run games long as much as anything else. Moya waits. Now it's coming. Off the inside corner. And a 2-1 count on Rodriguez. If you understand what Moya is doing, he's fun to watch.
Unless there's a guy on base.
Well, that's fun too.
Yeah.
If you understand what he's doing.
Well, yes. And like you said, it's all about tempo for him.
Foul tip, it's 2-2. He's not overpowering, though he can be sneaky fast. He'll run that fastball up and in at about 90 after a series of off-speed pitches, and you're not ready for it. 2 balls, 2 strikes from the goggled Gabriel Moya. Ready to go. The leg kick, again, slightly different, but he's outside to Rodriguez. 3 balls and 2 strikes. He has so many different motions. Three, 2 to the leadoff batter here in the 9th inning. Moya will bring it and get him.
And that's that sneaky fastball.
Barnstormers pitching, striking out 10 tonight, but walking 13.
Catcher
Carlos Castro, the catcher, will come to the plate. 1 out of 5. Now, I would have expected Garrett Granitz. Granitz walked 2 in 2 innings tonight. I would expect the difference in the rubber to affect somebody like that more than anybody else. He's got to push that ball just a little bit more to get it to the plate before it dances everywhere. 1-0. You know, somebody, especially somebody like Schumann, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. It might on his secondary pitches. I don't think it's going to on the fastball. Splitters are what I worried about the most with this 1 foot difference.
Yeah, and that will remain to be seen when we see him in a ball game.
1-0 and knocked fouled on the right side out to the broken bat deck. 1-1.
Fans still camped out.
Moya's retired 1 here in the top of the 9th. I forget it's Gabriel pitching. Forget the 3 hours. I love watching him. I think it's fascinating what he does out there. If he were the other team's pitcher, I'd be pulling my hair out. A ball and a strike. He will deal low on Castro, make it 2-1. And at times he'll pitch right away.
Yeah.
Like I said, he dictates the schedule. Castro awaiting the 2-1. Moya will deal. Swing and a miss over the top. It's 2-2. I wish there were more Gabriel Moyas in this game as opposed to just the hard throwers who. Major League Baseball needs Gabriel Moya. Not necessarily for the pace of play idea, but he's something other than than a flamethrower.
Right.
2-2. Ball 3
look,
and a full count.
Yeah. Castro was stepping out. Did he get the?
Maybe he did.
Did he get the time?
He didn't. Never saw the signal. Our belief is that it's a full count.
Yeah.
Scoreboard still reads 2-2.
Whoa.
Taken up the middle and a base hit, and that one is rolling. Clark digs it out of the hole, and he'll keep Castro to a single. Faster runner, different score. That could be 2 bases.
That's another we've seen right back through the middle.
That ball, look how hard that was hit, and look how much it rolled. Clark took a great angle to it. If Clark tries to go straight across and cut that ball off, it could get by him.
It does.
And create issues. JC Encarnacion, the batter. And now we have Moya dealing with a base runner, but it's not a close game, so it might not be as much fun. He'll come to the plate instead and deliver a strike. It's 0-1. And Dugan's not holding Castro aboard. Or we could have the usual Gabriel Moya fun. The best was the night with Baldequin. 6-7 times in a row he threw over there. Baldequin was just about nailed to the bag. Line drive, caught by Alamond, and the tag applied by Dugan. Double play. 4-3, and a very abrupt end to the top of the 9th inning for York. Well, the Barnstormers come up. They'll send Dugan, Clark, and De La Rosa down 11. You pitch to contact, you keep the ball in play, you don't walk many people, and you get the defense behind you, and that's the story tonight for Austin Nicely. He comes out after 8 innings, 4 hits, an unearned run. He walked 2, struck out 4, now gives way to Alberto Rodriguez as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and we made it to 3 hours. Only 4 9-inning games this season involving the Barnstormers have finished in under 3 hours, and this is the 56th such game. That is astounding. When you consider the average length of a 9-inning game being about 3.5 hours right now, you put it all together, and I figure that I've called about an extra 42 hours of baseball. It's by past standards, I've called about 15 extra games where you're just going by the length of the individual contests. Dugan, Clark, De La Rosa facing Alberto Rodriguez in the bottom of the ninth inning. Oh, but who's counting, right? Who's counting? We're just glad to be back.
So Nicely's performance tonight drops his ERA from 4.06 down to 3.62. Wow.
That is, puts him in the, well, it would have put him in the lead, but Darryl Thompson also throwing shutout baseball. Or in this case, 1 run, but it was unearned. Dugan's 0 for 3, hit the ball hard his last time up, but directly at Encarnacion. Ball 1 is outside. It's 1-0. With the quickest game of the year being 2 hours and 47 minutes.
No, was that 11 a.m. game?
That was the 11 a.m. game. Ball 2 is outside, 2-0. 2:48 last Thursday night at West Virginia for a 4-1 Barnstormers win. That was so well pitched by Boydston. And the bullpen that followed Rincon and Teller. 2-0. 3-0.
What, now Rincon's in West Virginia, right?
Yes. Dugan looking to reach base here. He'll take the walk. Rodriguez comes in and gives Kelly Dugan 4 straight out of the zone. Ladarius Clark will come to the plate over 2 of the walk. Well, the Barnstormers have their 8th base runner of the game. Clark scored in the 2nd inning to make it 1-1. He reached on a missed 3rd strike. It was a pass ball. Stole 2nd, went to 3rd on a wild pitch, and scored on a squibber up the first base line by De La Rosa. Other than that, the Barnstormers have not gotten a runner to 2nd base in this game.
Wow. Yeah.
That is absolutely remarkable. Ladarius with a swing and a drive out to right field. Way back it goes, and the walls will not contain it. That makes things a little bit better. It's 12-3.
Rally time.
Clark with the 2-run homer, his 8th of the season. He is made for this ballpark. And Clark is a guy, if you could get him to hit about 270, 280, he would be an amazing all-around player. Hitting for average has kind of been the difficult part of the game for him. But he's got that great opposite field power, such a strong arm, terrific speed. Now here is De La Rosa, who's 0 for 3. On deck is Peroni. Lancaster needs 9 more. De La Rosa stares at a strike. It is 0-1. But at least you've got the extra base hit in there. 3 runs on the board. Not all is lost here tonight. Rodriguez comes back. De La Rosa swings over the top. It is 0-2. But when the Barnstormers ERA, when you look at it, it is in the neighborhood of 8. And you just can't find a winning formula on a consistent basis. Pulled foul. Still 2 strikes on De La Rosa.
Yeah, 7.60 coming into the game tonight.
And
I mean, it was what, 9.5 at one point?
About 8.5.
8.5? Okay.
Nothing in 2. De La Rosa goes down swinging. Well, Rodriguez picks up 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th. And that brings on Peroni. Peroni's single last night as a pinch hitter led to the tying run. DeSabatino eventually scoring it. That was a great move on the part of Ross Peoples. We were talking about using the pinch runner here. We saw Peroni on deck. If De La Rosa reached base to lead off that inning, which he didn't, because Peroni would have slid into the catcher spot. But then when Peroni reached base, it was still natural to use the pinch runner. You still had De La Rosa in the game. It was almost an either-or situation. Good breaking ball. Peroni down a strike. It is 0-1. Did a hockey game just break out? I feel like I'm at the Giants Center all of a sudden. 0-1.
I see your caps. Ovechkin's going to keep playing?
Ovechkin's going to stick around a few more years in a Caps uniform.
How old is he now?
35, maybe 36.
He's getting up in the Jaromir Jagr age bracket here and still playing.
He wants to beat Gretzky, I think. Is the all-time scoring leader. He is one shy of fifth all-time now.
Wow.
0-2 pitch, swing and a miss. The back-to-back strikeouts of the catching duo. And Nick Shumpert is all that stands between York and a tie for first place in the second half. One of these days, the Barnstormers will win a half again. It has been 6 years since the second half of 2015, which people don't remember this, but there are some around the league who have said that they believe that was the best team that Lancaster's ever had, was the second half team in 2015 because the pitching was so good. Everything just gelled into that second half. We were about 13 or 14 games in with I think a 6-7 start to that half, and the Barnstormers went 41-16 the rest of the way. The bullpen was untouchable. It was a couple of different sets. You had Andrelzik out there, and Patterson, and Walden, and Gracie. Oh my! Everybody pitched well. They build on each other.
Who's a hard-throwing left-hander?
Hamulak.
That's it.
It was earlier than that.
Oh, was it? Okay.
He was earlier than 15. He was like around the 2000. He was the closer on the 2012 team. Popped up foul out of play. The man who rode his bicycle here from York every day.
What?
York resident. He biked here any day with decent weather.
Well, that's
Hamulak was a physical freak. I mean, he was one of the strongest people I've ever known.
That's kind of risky, though, riding back at night. Oof.
2-1. Swing and a miss, and the Barnstormers are now down to a final strike in this game. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Shumpert. Rendon, the on-deck batter. 12-3. The Revs leading. They put this one away in the third inning. 8 runs there. To Shumpert, here's the 2-2. Ball 3, and we're not quite done yet. 3-2. Yet to try and figure out who the strongest Barnstormer has ever been. Hamulak, Ryan Harvey, Michael Woods might have been in there. And I'm probably forgetting a couple. Payoff pitch on the way to Shumpert from Rodriguez. This is line to center field right at Encarnacion, in a fitting way for this game to end. Shumpert continues to swing the bat well. Line outs to the outfield the last 2 times up after the hitting streak is extended. 2 runs on a hit with no errors and nobody left. York strikes the first blow in the second half of the schedule. As far as moving the pitching rubber back a foot, it didn't ultimately seem to make that much of a difference here tonight. 12-0 in favor of York. We'll be back with you tomorrow night from Clipper Magazine Stadium as we wrap up this 3-game series between the Barnstormers and Revs. Now for my partner Eric May, for the crew in the truck and on the cameras, and for all the cast and crew here at Clipper Magazine Stadium, I'm Dave Collins. Have a great evening, everyone, and we'll see you at the ballpark.